Awesome. So are we live stream as of now? That is. Oh, you're muted, Sammy. Okay. Custom live streaming service. Okay, good for us. I don't know if he was making the well, I feel competent.
Well, hey, friend. I am
Yeah.
so excited to be here. This is
Yeah, me
awesome.
too. And I'm really excited because I feel like our work intersects in really interesting ways. And so I'm really excited to get to know you a little bit. So I
Yeah.
don't know where we should start. Do you want to like talk about like what you're up to, like what your book has been for you, or like what it means? Like you tell me something about yourself and we'll go from there.
I'm more than happy to do that. So, to those of you who are watching and may not know me, my name is Najya Williams. I know there's a J in my first name. It's there for emotional support, but it is silent. I am so excited to be here to talk about my newest baby, On a Date with Disappointment. The title honestly came about from such a hilarious conversation with one of my close friends. We were having a talk, and at that particular point in my life when I like was thinking about writing another collection, I was like, you know what? Sis, every single day, everything that I do, I'm like constantly like someone's letting me down. Someone or something is letting me down. Like no one's clearing the bar right now. And it's really irritating me.
Everyone is
Um,
fired. Yeah.
everyone is fired. And she was like, I know. I was like, it's so crazy. I feel like I'm on a date with disappointment all the time. And she said, that's the title of your book.
It's a good title.
And I was like, stop it. No. And we see who was correct because it is indeed the title of my book.
That's
And so this is really what the collection is all about, this concept of having expectations and desires and hopes and dreams and being faced with disappointment and trying to figure out a way through the disappointment because that has been life.
yeah.
Um, and so I've been really excited about it. It's been a dream come true. I've always wanted to work with Button, and having the opportunity to do that with this collection, because I feel like it's been my most vulnerable. It's been the one that I've like held dearest to me. Um, I think it's been great.
That's awesome. Uh yeah, I was gonna ask you about the titles here ahead of me, man. I want to know more about sort of like your arc between manuscripts. I know you work in medicine as well, which I think is like
Mhm.
really exciting. Some of the best books I've ever read have been by like physicians slash writers. I think it does this really cool thing where it like queerness, like blackness, where like you're kind of set to the side of like what people consider like the default point of view, right? And
Yeah.
so like you get this angle that other people don't get. And I think that being a physician is like one of the only ways to gain that like on purpose because you see people, but you also see their bodies as like these machines that they move through. And like having that separation is like a very special way of looking at your fellow man. So I feel like there's a lot of really good writing that comes out of it. But yeah, let me match what you said. Uh, so, Sean Patrick Mulroy, I am very Irish. um, not all the way, but like about 40 to 60%, depending on, the mood that ancestry.com is in on any given day. They shuffle that stuff around. Um, and like any honky who puts their shit into like ancestry.com, I'm thrilled to report that I am 0.00.5 or whatever are so like this much from my one Cypriot ancestor. Hooray. But otherwise it's varying things like that. So Italian, Irish, Danish, whatever. I put out my first collection as Mulroy, like my first like adult poetry collection after I had been writing poetry for almost 20 years. I'm a perfectionist. So um, I think
Are you a Virgo? Just out of
I
curiosity.
am very much a Virgo. And it's funny because my chart, if you look at my astrology, okay, half my houses are empty and I have no water and no air. So it's just, if I'm good at it, I'm real good at it. And if I'm bad at it, it's just not part of my life. Just like everything's crammed in one side, all in fair and balanced, like Fox News over here. It's real. It's a special chart. I keep it in my, I keep a screenshot of it in my phone
Mm,
because when people ask me about astrology or if they ask me for like selfies, I'm
yeah.
like, oh, here's the best picture of me I have.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
the cool thing, recent astrology fact, me and like my best friend, like the girl who was like, it's okay if you're gay when I was 14, like that girl, right? We recently reconnected. She's been really busy raising her kids and in her marriage and everything. We live far away. But we figured out, because we've always had this kind of like spiritual connection, we figured out that all of our first 5 planets are in alignment, like the same sign,
Wow.
except for the sun. That's it. And
Wow.
like, yeah, even Mercury for her, which is rare because usually your Mercury and your sun are the same, but her Mercury is in Virgo also, which is the sign that I think makes me a writer, right?
Goodness.
um, but yeah, so anyway, back on the book. So my book was originally supposed to be titled High Risk Homosexual Behavior, which again, calling back to your background as a physician. um, I am super bummed because a guy put out like what is otherwise a really cool memoir under the same title. And my frustration is that he used that title as if it were personal, like he specifically were a high risk homosexual. And I'm like, the reason why I wanted to use this is because that label is on the trans or on the the paperwork for every single gay man on prep, right? Which is
Yeah.
to say, if you are sexually active, you are committing, like according to the medical institution, like high risk homosexual behavior, and it's not in the DSM technically anymore, but they still got to use the label for purposes. And so for the foreseeable future, like I called physicians around with like various places. I was like, they're still going to use this code, right? um but I just think it's amazing because it's basically the medical, like uh what's the word, like the status quo, but there's another word for it. Institution, industry, whatever. Medicine en general in the West has basically admitted, without admitting it, that being homosexual is high risk behavior, full stop. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
which
For
was like
sure.
really important to me with the book. I got really invested in data about like gay men and the sort of like weird erasure of like what happens to them, which is like a new thing. There's been some like discussion of it in like various academic papers, but when I talk to people about it, I'm like, look, there's a lot of data that shows like these ways in which we are super stricken, like very high addiction rates, very high suicide rates, all of these things. And it just, I lost a partner to an overdose. And like, to
So
me, part of
sorry.
processing that, it's okay. It's been a long time. Although I did have a really vivid dream about him last night. Super weird. We were fighting for the same man. What's that about? And it wasn't like, oh my God, you're back. Let's run away together. It's like, hey, back off my man, person who should be dead.
The boy is mine.
Right? And this boy is better than Rennie's career. So I love her. It's okay. She has a good run. But no, so like after that happened, I think part of how I processed my grief as best I could, because I feel, if I'm being honest, I didn't process it for a really long time. I was just blindingly angry all the time, and didn't really identify that as part of it, but that was definitely part of it. And I think part of how I process my grief is sort of like, okay, drugs killed him, whatever, but like also he killed him, but like also like gayness, like being gay and the struggle that that was for him was absolutely how he got addicted. And so it was like something that I kind of wanted to channel
Ooh,
into that
looks like
book.
you're a little bit.
Oh, am I clipping?
Okay, you're better now.
I'm better now. Okay, let me see one little thing. Okay, we're good there. One moment. Let me just check one little thing. close this. I'm just going to close a couple windows and see if that helps. We'll see. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I think I took a lot of that and like what I could process, I made into that book. And a lot of
Mhm.
it just like was rage that had to be cooked off like over a few like
Yeah.
10 years, you know. But the book was really therapeutic for me because I feel like I was full of this just like rage because people are really weird about this topic and I still don't quite know why. You know, there's this sort of like a, uh, broader acceptance of this idea that like gay men are not oppressed anymore, and it's like I understand that like we're not being like murdered, but we're not a nationally protected class of people. That's why Florida is happening. And like we are being murdered, but like not the way that like trans people are. And that's important. And like I'm terrified for my trans siblings, like terrified, right? And there are plenty of these idiots out there making a bad name for us, but it's a whole long complicated political conversation. But when people ask me for like broader proof than like the individual studies, I can be like, well, here's what I can tell you. A gay physician who survived the AIDS epidemic started an institute to study the health and safety of gay men and like further research like, you know, their difficulties, and no one would fund the research because no one would give them any grants, and then he stopped taking his AIDS medication and died of suicide. So like when people ask me the state of gay affairs,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like that, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, now I've been over the last few months, I think I kind of kicked into gear and I have been writing so much. And I actually wrote 2 full-length manuscripts this year. I decided my goal was going to do the double dragon. I'm going to try to get 2 contest wins with 2 different books entirely. I think it'd be a fun stunt. So I'm going to try.
First of all, let's back this on up. You said 2 full lengths in 1 year?
So here's what's up. 1 month. So here's what's up. Make the
Sean,
bipolar
okay.
2 work for you. 1, but 2. I think realistically, I think what it is, you know, like I said, I waited 20 years. And so and frankly, like a lot of Hated for the Gods was work that I wrote for Hated for the Gods. Like almost all of that book is new. There's a few that are like poems that are old enough to ask where they came
Yeah.
from, but like there aren't like I have a huge body of work to draw from, like literally like 15, 20 years worth of writing. And so pulling from that and doing these like really extreme revisions, it's
Mm,
a little bit easier than just writing it whole cloth because it's like a prompt from myself. It's like you
mm,
wanted to write this poem when you were 25, but you weren't good enough at it yet. But like, here's what you were trying to write that. And so it was
yeah.
easier. But also just like the motivation to stunt has always been I love a little stunt, you know? But yeah, I wanted to talk to you about your book because I feel like there are some things in it that are really straightforwardly applied to like things that I care about in poetry that isn't necessarily like present in my most recent book with Button. But I don't know. Do you want to do a poem first and then that, or I would love to hear a
I,
poem.
I mean, don't threaten me with a good time,
Oh,
Sean.
BT Dubs, I want to do Good Morning for you, so don't do that one.
Ooh, a little sazon, my goodness. All right. I think, let's see, which one do I want to do for you? I typically go off of the vibes. Are we feeling spicy? Are we feeling you want to do good morning? I think I'm gonna do the opposite end of the coin. And I'm gonna do sweet tooth.
Cool.
So Sweet Tooth is one of my favorite pieces to perform. And I'm just gonna go right into it. He must have had a sweet tooth to stare at me like there was no one else in the room, enchanted, enthralled. Even Anita couldn't coach him out of this rapture. He was savory and savoring this moment to encounter me, and I let him. After all, he is standing in front of divinity. His gaze is the very least that he should offer me, but Like most men, he wanted not to admire me, but to devour me, ingest me with the rest of his treasured delicacies. I laugh because normally I offer a warning. Do not try me. You're not ready. Not for consumption, overdose deadly, but this time I don't. I allow him to add me to his baked collection of candy confections, and he soon learns a hard lesson that I'm not something he'll easily forget. Every tooth, I carve my way down into the pulp of them until I'm in the pulp of him, working my way through every vein, sustaining him. I'm sure this wasn't the sugar high he wanted when he met me. I'm sure this wasn't the glass tower fantasy he wanted when he kept me. I'm sure this wasn't the kind of jaw breaking he wanted when he met me. I finally understand why he calls me his snack, his candy, his sweet thing. He wants a cheap fix to expensive thrills, a geyser of joy at the top of misery hills, but he is wrong. He was wrong. He can't brush me away or floss me out. The pain won't stop the truth of me from living inside of his mouth. It will persist, and so will I. They say that tooth pain is the worst pain that you can ever experience. I say it's only the worst when it's self-inflicted. He could have avoided this, could have came out on top of this, but he didn't know that I was made to stick, made to prick, made to trick you into thinking that there's such thing as a simple fix. He must have had a sweet tooth to stare at me like there was no one else in the room, to do what others no longer dared to. I laugh because normally I offer a warning, but this time I don't.
Oh, I have so many questions about it.
Yes, lay it on me.
Love it. I love it. So, like, okay, I feel like there's this theme throughout your book. There's a couple themes, but I feel like some of them are in other pieces that I'm sure we're gonna come across. But like, and this is not like necessarily unique to your voice, but I feel like your approach to it is unique, which is you kind of talk about Black womanhood as this double-edged sword, right? Where like part of it is like the acknowledgement of like the work it is, right? Like the poem, forgive me, I'm spacing on the title, but the one that's the spiral, right?
Vanishing act. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like finishing act, for example, like, you know, it gives you a challenge in reading it, and it kind of like reflects in its form like the challenge of just like having a very like constant practiced self-awareness, right? And I think that is what those of us who you refer to as deer in your poems, right? Like those of us who kind of exist again at that angle, like that's what we learn really young. This is like, okay, so this is who I am, and this is who you get, right?
Yes.
And I feel like that is like a really painful thing. But then at the same time, and I feel like I sympathize and or like I try to emulate this in my own work too, there's this pride in it that is like reflexive, and it kind of it often gets like pushed on men, which is great, like same, but like I feel like it's in other places too, where it's like owning like your divinity as like a person who survives, like a person who is like hyper capable, you know, because they have to be, not because they choose. And so it's like, for you, is it like a constant duality? Like, is it both at all times? Or is it like some days you have a like, fuck this, I'm tired of this day. And then some days you have a like, I'm a queen, like, fuck off day. And
Yeah,
like,
it's it is a constant it's a constant yes and statement. And I got that from actually one of my dear friends. To literally all my friends are like iconic. They are the like puppeteers behind my streams. But one of my close friends said to me that life is nothing but a gigantic yes and statement. Yes, this shit sucks, and I'm literally thriving in the midst of it.
yeah.
Yes, life is actively working against me, and I'm making it real hard for life to succeed, you know? And
I love that
so,
so much. Yeah.
right? So it's a constant in every experience and every interaction that I have, especially in medicine. I show up every day and and there's a deep part of me that is like, Naya, out of all the things that you could have chosen to do, you decide to choose the field that is going to question you um
and pressure you into that
invalidate you.
yeah, it's going to do that, right? And maybe this is presumptuous of me to
Yeah.
assume, but I feel like also there's this sort of like stereotypical and or like kind of problematic thing that happens with like black women where they're kind of pushed into this like caretaker role, right?
Yes.
And like even like
Yes.
benevolent people, like, I hate to say benevolent racist, right? But like people who are problematic but not hateful
Yeah.
still are like, oh, I just love it when a black woman like tells me everything's gonna be okay. And I'm like, keep it to yourself, right? But
Like that was an inside thought that totally should have stayed an inside thought.
right. And I admire the innocence sometimes, but like, ugh, anyway. But the point is that like that's sort of like I love shopping with gay men, right? It's like if you're shopping with me, it has to be like completely meta or not talked about at all. One of the two. You can't do one or the other, or you
Yeah.
can't do both. It's got to be like either what do you think, person who's with me and we didn't plan this, or it's got to be like, okay, give me the shush, right? But anyway, the point is that like what I guess what I was trying to get at is like existing as a medical practitioner and then also
Mhm.
having that thrown on you, like you get to have like the professionalism questioned all the time from the top, and then like this sort of like emotional labor just assumed to be part of like your identity from the bottom.
100%.
Do you write about medicine like maybe in your other
Absolutely.
manuscript, or like what's your relationship with that in your writing?
Yeah. So I do something called narrative medicine, which is an entire field, an entire practice where we look at the use of storytelling as a way to better understand and serve our patients. And so when you mention the physician writers, I love that because memoirs from our physician writers, from our patients, all of that has built the foundation for narrative medicine. That storytelling is what allows us to provide the care that we want to see and we want to witness. And honestly, narrative medicine is the reason that I survive in this field. It is not an addition. It is like the common through line in every single thing that I do and choose.
So is this like a field that primarily applies to like mental health, or is it in like
It's everything, every aspect of medicine, surgeons, um, ophthalmologists, ENT doctors, family doctors, residents, students, chronic patients living with chronic illness, those struggling with invisible chronic illnesses like mental health disorders. It is for any and everyone. Yeah.
um
Um, yeah.
so I guess like I watched your TED talk and I was really interested in the way that you talked about like kind of like you listed your like stuff and like how did you move through it and like what is the point of carrying on, etc. But like can you give me an example of like how narrative medicine might like how it would present itself in like a medical field outside of like mental health,
Oh,
because I'm like
yeah.
having a hard time like picturing it, but it sounds fascinating.
Yeah. Absolutely. I actually have a couple examples for you. So, I spent a year as a writing fellow for Doximity. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but they're like a little op-ed, almost like a media company where they provide what's happening in healthcare in the United States and abroad. And
Ooh.
so I wrote a series of op-eds for them over the course of 1 year, and I had the opportunity to talk about health literacy in the middle
Ooh.
of North Philadelphia. And needless to say, many of my articles got a lot of pushback because
I
me,
bet.
a Black woman talking about race and medicine, gasp. But I wrote about a patient that I had who had never been told and properly explained that she was in heart failure. And I went to go see her as a medical student at that time. And I said, yeah, we'll need to admit you to the hospital to manage your heart failure. And she said, what are you talking about? And I was like,
How many doctors did she have to go through before you told her?
I was looking at her, I was like, Ashton Kutcher, anytime now. Bring out the cameras. And she was like, I heart failure. So my heart is dying? Like, what are you talking about? What are you saying to me right now?
Huh.
And I was like, well, your heart hasn't been functioning well. What do you understand about what's going on in your healthcare? What do you understand what do you understand has been happening? Well, I have been dealing with high blood pressure. The doctor gave me water pills to help with that. I have been navigating some chest pain, and the doctors talked to me a little bit about that, but no one's ever said heart failure to me.
Wow.
And I don't really know what that means.
It's crazy.
Narrative medicine is as simple as asking, what do you understand about what is happening in your body? Narrative
Wow.
medicine is as simple as heart failure means that your heart is not pumping as effectively as it should be. Your
Huh.
heart is a little tired, and we're giving you medicines to reduce the amount of work that it needs to do in order to get blood to the rest of your body. Narrative medicine is having a conversation from one person to another in a way that is understood.
So it's
And
about
so,
learning that articulation, not just for bedside manner, but for diagnosis and treatment. Okay.
yes.
That is cool. And
And
I love that. Yeah.
on the back end, that's patient forward and patient facing. But on the back end, it's when I write my notes, I don't say, this is a 47-year-old female with heart failure who has poor health literacy and is non-compliant with her medications, who's now admitted in heart failure. That is me. The narrative medicine is me writing, this is a 47-year-old former chef who is a lifelong North Philadelphia resident who
And
is,
that's in her file. So if she moves to another spot and another doctor has to start over, they have a frame of reference to communicate with her that helps her be more compliant with her medication and stuff. I love it. I love
yes,
it. I can see why this
yes,
is a thing. Okay. I can see why this is what's on for you.
yes. So it's all about the story. It's all about the narrative. I'm not just worried about your age, your sex assigned at birth, your quote unquote health conditions or issues. I'm worried about you as a person who is experiencing these things. And I'm partnering with you to find a solution.
Wow. That's so damn cool. Like
I
I
love
love
it.
it.
I
I
could talk
love
about it
it.
all
I
day.
love it. No, because like
Yeah.
the thing is, I love anything that is. So I talk about this sometimes, right? Like there's this.
Mhm.
I teach a class for a button on like queer poetics and formal poetics and like kind of the history of both.
Yeah.
And ironically, I didn't even realize this when I got started, but there is so much overlap. Like when it comes to the types of brains that do real good at form, it's
Mhm.
like throughout cultures, gay people specifically, and like more than I think any other part of the sort of like alphabet mob, right? But and there's a tilt towards gay men, but I think that one is pretty easily explicable by the fact that like, you know, freedom not being property. There are some examples of that I dug up of like relatively obscure, but bizarrely so. Like either AFAB or female poets who somehow managed to gain financial independence despite obstacles. And then what a surprise, they're real fucking good at art. You know, who knew?
Whoop de
Right?
doo, you know?
Anyone. Hammurabi talked about the order of needs, right? Wasn't it him? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Somebody else too. Somebody real old talked about the order of needs. Might have been one of the Greeks, but anyway. But yeah, so in looking at sort of that stuff, I talk about how, like, you know, queerness is this thing that is at the one hand, like if you say like this person who's famous is gay and I can tell you how I know, people are like, oh, you just want them to be gay, or like that's just something you made up, right? But then like when it comes to like people's political choices and their fear and everything, there's like a new gay person every minute according to these people, right? There's a new queer person every minute. um Even though like we've maintained a relatively solid percentage, like a stable percentage, amongst like up to my generation, and then Gen Z fluctuates based on the climate, it would appear. But uh, then there's like this other thing where it's like with poetry, where if you tell someone you're a poet for a living, like two things will happen in that conversation. One, they will say something along the lines of like, I didn't know there was such a thing as poets anymore. And two, I write poetry also. So it's like
Yeah.
everyone's a poet, no one's a poet. Everyone's queer, no one's queer. The
Yeah.
confusion is on purpose. It's here to stop you. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and so when I hear about something that is effectively like a narrative pursuit that has an undeniable, like from the West's point of view, like in the purview of capital, whatever, like it has an undeniable, straightforward value, it always gives me a lot of joy because it's like, aha, you know, I knew that shit was good for something. You know, but yeah, I have tons of questions for you. Maybe I'll do a poem, and
Yes,
then we
I
can
was
talk
just about to say it's
about
time for you to get in the hot seat because I'm ready to hear words.
Okay,
I'm
so
ready to hear words because
this
I
has
feel like
been
our
my
collections are in conversation with each other in such
yeah,
a cool way. So I'm really excited.
yeah. I think let me think. I'm gonna start with a new one because this has been my door kicker a lot lately, and I'm fond of it. And I feel like as a woman in STEM, like this might be a thing that will register. But also, if you hate it, you should tell me because it hasn't been published
I
yet. I'm trying to
I
take more
do not
risks,
anticipate
right?
that I will hate it.
Yeah, you know, I want the work to be dangerous because I feel dangerous. I've been made to feel dangerous my whole
Oh
life. And so,
yeah.
like, in that way, you know, like from a sexuality perspective, from a sanity perspective, from like all kinds of ways. And then from the left too, because privilege, right? So, like, it's absolutely this thing where I am trying to figure out how to like take up space without taking it from the wrong people.
Yeah.
Right? There are plenty of
Yeah.
people out there with too much space, and I have to find a way to do that right. But anyway,
Yeah.
this is going to be opening one of the two books that I wrote this year, or whatever.
You
And yeah,
overachiever, you.
1 second, Jules, what's up? Okay, tell him I'm doing a video. I'm doing a thing, and I will call him after. Okay, if he wants to speak, he can get it, but I gotta go. Thank you. Sorry, neighbors. Okay, so this poem is called Radium. Um, okay. Curie made Nobel for her discoveries in science, stumbling back to show us what she'd found with blistered hands, a wild glint, the element, a pocket star of energy and cancer, and her genius curtain call before an audience applauding, as we often do for women when they choose to die for what they love. Her body laid to rest within a glove box made of lead, so toxic her devotion, poisonous in death, she was interred together with her personal effects, less brilliant, seeped into the aquifer. And as for radium, well, we put it into medicine. Uh, a fairy flicker scrubbed into the face against old age, or mopped on cocks as cure for impotence, or dropped in drinking water as a remedy for melancholy. But to be a citizen within an era hot with beauty, emanating trust and placing trust wholeheartedly in beauty, beauty for its own sake, waking with the dawn to an alarm clock set with numbers glowing celadon, then on to bed beside a nightlight purring with contempt, alluring, hellward bent in steady romance. All this said, and meant to say, that handling what captivates may kill you slowly. Oh, my sweet, My darling gentleman, my dear Majapregar, my love, my friend, I fear. I lust for you, your touch again.
The way that like you transported me, like from line one, you had me hook, line, and sinker. Okay. I was right there with you. Oh my gosh.
Thanks.
First
I'm
of
really
all,
happy to hear that.
what I
Um,
tell my mentor all the time, I'm disgusted by your pen, like in the best way possible. Like it's so good, it's sickening. Okay? Stop it, but keep going, you know? I love it. Oh my goodness. So what motivated you to write that? Like what frame of mind were you in when you wrote that?
so this is one of the ones that I've been fighting. I talk about this a lot, right? Like there are two types of poems that just like that take forever, right? That end up being good. There's some that like the reason they take forever is because you shouldn't have written it, right? But like some of them, I think I have two things. There's one I call whales, right? Which is like in the Moby Dick sense, where it's like this is a story or an idea that you have been trying to pin down for years and you may never get it, right? You have like this fight with your father and you're trying to fix it. You have this boyfriend who does this thing one day and you're trying to fix it. You're trying to find a way to put that into words. Um, and then the other thing I think is like stuff that fights you, right? This poem absolutely fought me because I knew what I was trying to do with it, but I tried it in a lot of different venues. There was like times when I moved the end into talking about like family damage. There was times when I took the end and I moved it into talking about like uh, all kinds of different subjects that are like also toxic. But the general gist was I had done some writing on a couple of really specific topics over the last like few years before the first draft of this poem came out, which we're talking God like 10 years ago. And like I find sometimes there are certain topics that when I write them, it's like working with radioactivity, right? If I write about too much, or I'm sorry, if I write too much about fame, for example, right? That gets in my head. If I write too much about like eating disorders, I have to watch my ass. You know what I mean? Like there's all these things that can really screw with you. And even if it isn't as like profound or as immediate as like a trigger, it's still like costly. And I think
Mhm.
that sometimes it's our job to do that costly work, but it's like good to be aware of it. And then I think where this poem kind of finally went, I was just in this really toxic relationship with this guy I still really love and who I think is overall a pretty good person. He's just messed up because the world is terrible to gay men. And like, he's brown, he's from out of the country, like he had to put up with a lot from his culture. And so coming here and like learning how to be gay in like your mid to late 20s is like not a cakewalk, especially in his case because he's so damn pretty that people will tell him anything. They'll just say anything. you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for this piece it was about like trying to figure out a way of exploring like what you're passionate about and how it can like cost you or like how it can like genuinely like make you ill
Yeah.
in like a low grade subtle slow over time way um and
Radioactive.
yeah, exactly. I think there are certain things like part of coping is learning how to rewrite your circuits, and sometimes like I'm not going to go down that path thought wise because it's bad for me, and I feel like that is sometimes a luxury that as poets we're not afforded. um I talk about writing when you're born with a gift of a certain variety, which I like pontificate or like am arrogant enough to claim as something that I have. But I feel like a lot of people we know have it too. Like present company included. Like when you have that thing that you can do that other people can't do, it's like a gift, right? It's like a holy obligation
Yeah.
to
A
it's a
devotion.
character defining obligation to do that work, right? And to deny that gift is like a big part of like I don't think very many things as sins, right? I don't do sin a lot. um but the two big ones are like rewriting history and denying your gift, right? If you
Mhm.
don't do what you were sent here to do, or if you lie about something that happened to serve yourself, like because those are dangerous things to do to other people. You're
Yeah.
denying them their ability to make up a narrative that isn't based on what you want, or you're denying them the ability to like process their pain because you didn't want to process your pain, right? But yeah, the other thing I think technique wise that I've been exploring for the last few years, like I think I did it a little bit in my collection, and I think I'm leaning on it even harder. You know, everything I write is in meter, like everything. That whole book is in trochees, or IMs. Like it's just in meter. And like the goal has always been for me with form to hide it, right? So I've written sestinas that deliberately repeat words in places so that people can't find the throw people off the trail, right?
Yeah.
But I also write pieces that are in form that are hidden, you know, like sonnets that are hidden, and the same thing with metrical and assonant rhyme, you know, like the vowel rhyme. I always say I'm an assonance man, right? It's one of my corny jokes about poetry, right? But like
But
literally, so much of it, yeah, exactly. So much of like what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to create a piece of work that when you read it on the paper is one poem, and then when you read it out loud, it's a completely different experience, you know? Because like, what can we take from the sort of like spoken word slam tradition that a lot of us on Button came up through into the literary world? Like what's something that we are bringing to the table culturally that they have either denigrated or like exotified or like ghettoized? And I mean that not in terms of like the 90s term, I mean that in terms of like the Warsaw ghetto, like they have sequestered it, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
um,
yeah.
but like they've done all these things to like label it so that they don't have to face the fact that like maybe reading poems like this is part of why the art form is dead. Right. So yeah, that's another thing that's kind of been pushing me a lot.
Oh my goodness. I love that. And I'm curious to know. I like the way that you divided the columns or the categories of poems that take a long time. And I'm curious to know if you'd be willing to add a third one or if it falls under one of the categories you've given me of poems that you fear.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think for yeah, you know what? Yeah, no, that's just a valid one because I don't always fear my whales. I don't always fear uh the ones that fight me. But yeah, I think part of um a poet who is in the literary side of things, academic side of things, who's a little bit problematic, so I don't even need to quote him no more. Plus, we had a 2 hour conversation about how sincerity is passe. That was his point of view. Um, and then, what a surprise, something bad happened to him, and then he got real sincere. It's almost like when people say that they're super privileged. Anyway,
FAFO, you know?
I'm just saying. But one of the things he did say in craft discussion with me personally that I thought was really useful and that I still use is that when you encounter cliche in a writer's work, that is the biggest red flag that there is something they are afraid to confront or say in their work, right? And so I think yeah, no, I think that's a valid, like yeah, she's added, that's a third category. Now we got three. I
It,
love
the re- the reason why I asked you that is because that is a category that I find for myself to be the one I'm stuck in the longest. I have my wells, and I feel like with time I've learned to be patient in finding them. And I have my, the other category that you described, but the poems that really keep me up at night, the poems where I'm just looking at my notebook or I'm looking at a Google Doc and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna go to bed. But I can't because it's on my mind, but I can't write. And I'm just
Mhm.
like, I want to burn it all down, but I can't because
Those are the
this
ones
is
that
what
are
I'm
most
supposed to do.
fire when you get it right.
It's
It's
it's the
like a
thing,
balancing thing.
it's the thing that I'm afraid of. And those are the themes that I'm afraid of, I should say. Those
What
are
do
the
you
topics.
what do you find those things have in common? Like I have things that I'm afraid of sometimes in my work. Although I think maybe part of the fun way that I'm broken is that I don't have a whole lot of shame and I don't have a lot of fear. So I kind of am like Kool-Aid manning my way
Yeah.
through life, and like it's
Yeah.
cool and it works for the writing, but like there are definitely still things that I'm like, oh, that person has to be dead before I write this. Like I'm not gonna do this to their family. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like what do you think, like what do you find binds those topics together, like those fears?
I think it may be a little bit of shame. But
Mm,
I'm not sure if it's shame so much as it's fear that I'm too much.
that's shame. That's one of the ways that shame is like thrust upon us. It's,
Manifesting. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
like,
That's the thing they do to black folks where they say you're loud, right? The thing that they do to gay folks where they say you're dramatic, right? Where it's like they just be less yourself. You
yes. Yes.
know?
It is it is the idea of once I open the box of who I am and you see the fullness of who I am, it will immediately be too much. And
Yeah,
you will crumble under the weight of that.
yeah.
And so if I tone it down, if I water it down, that'll somehow be better,
We
even if
teach
it's not
girls
better
to
for
shrink
me.
themselves to make themselves smaller. Right? But like for real though, for real. Interesting. I feel like okay, so maybe this is like the same. I have this theory that
Mhm.
gay folks, in particular gay men and women, like two separate categories. Not gay men and women, although sure, but I don't like to speak on gay women's
Gay men
things.
and gay women.
Right. So I mean gay men and cis straight women, I feel
Mhm.
often have uh the same problems turned inside out. It's the same glove, but it's shaken out. And you're actually, it doesn't even have to be cis straight, like cis bi, like anyone who has the ability to like kind of move through like the space is like ostensibly like standard gendered eyes, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because like for example, like gay men feel invisible all the time. Their sexuality isn't taken seriously. Women's sexuality is hyper policed and they can't go a block without somebody have some shit to say, right? So it's like the opposite. Um, so in this case, what I think is like kind of interesting is you're talking about the shame of it, like being too much. For me, I think it's about like not wanting to be like I don't want to be a lot in a space that doesn't like that I don't have a right to, right? I think there's a lot of
Oof.
like qualifying in my work. Like I'm like,
Oof.
oh, what, like forgive me and like trigger warning, but like have I been raped enough to really write about it? Like,
Oof.
was that rapey enough
Oof.
or was that just icky? Right? Like I feel like
Yeah.
that's an example. Like, oh, okay, like is the fact that like I had this experience as a kid that like changed the way that my life went because of like fear, right? Of being bashed.
Yeah.
And like, is that enough to stand up here with people who are talking about like, especially in the last 10 years, like these struggles of being trans, these struggles of being like a person of color of any variety, being somebody who's like, undocumented or is, otherwise just in the crosshairs of these people in power.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that like sometimes it's trying to figure out if I deserve to be hurt. And like that's such an absurd question when you say it out loud, but like that is the thing that I'm worried about. Is like if I write about this,
Yeah.
am I hyping up my own trauma for likes, and like and like
Am I peddling my shit
yeah,
to get the next thing,
yeah, absolutely. So I definitely think that that's like a thing that pops its head up, unfortunately. We got to do more poems. I could talk
Yes.
to you forever. Do more
I,
poems at me. Let's do a couple. Do two at me. Do two, maybe. You want to do two and then I'll do two?
okay, yes. Yes.
Let's do it. I
Or
mean,
actually, I want to hear you read one of
okay.
mine. And
Okay,
I want
let's
to
do
read
it.
one of yours.
That's a good idea. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And
And
also,
then
I
maybe
am
we can
such a
close
bossy
out with
Rossi, so like, please tell me and like, yeah, I'm like, let's do this. Like, please tell me because like that's a good idea. For example, so this is Good Morning. It's
yeah.
it's from your book, On a Date with Disappointment. And for those of you without the text in front of you, mourning has the U in parentheses, so it's both mourning like the sunrise and mourning like grief. Good morning. I was walking down the street, cosplaying as my usual self, when someone said, "Good morning," in passing. How did they know to praise me for the sobs well done? How did they know where to uncover me in broad daylight? How did they know I am grief's understudy? I love sobs well done. It's like one of those things where it's not a pun, but it screws with your expectations and it's just right. It's like, it pleases me. It pleases me greatly. Plus, cosplaying as yourself is like fully, that's an experience I think that most of us have had. By us, I mean like, as opposed to them.
STM. I got it. Mm-hmm. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Don't you worry. I'm right there with you, honey. Um, I'm so grateful that you pointed out this piece. It's actually one that I struggled with a little bit because and you probably can tell through the collection, I'm someone who writes longer poems.
Yeah.
And so this is one of the ones outside of the life stories that's pretty short and succinct. Um, and a lot of the conversations that I had with my mentors were, is this enough? And their response to me, which was perfect and very mentor on brand for them to say, is why wouldn't it be? I was like, first of all, don't talk to me like that.
Stop yelling. I'm right here.
Not that. Second, you're right. It's written and it's complete and it tells a full story and it says everything that it needs to say in every single word and it doesn't require
Yeah.
anything else.
It's
Um,
interesting. You pointed out the life stories. I actually had some thoughts about that, right? Because you hear life story, and that's a poem you're going to think is going to be long, right? So I had this sort of thought, like two parts of it, which is one, I was curious, like what your thought was about doing these like little tiny, like pieces, these little snippets, and calling them life stories. But two, your numbers jump around, right? You got like life story number 11. I think it starts with life story 24, if I'm not mistaken, right? So, like, is there a life story 1 through 10? Are they out there? Are you like, what made you pick the numbers, if so, or if not? Like, talk about
yeah.
it. Speak
So all of the numbers are significant numbers related to birth dates, related to the people and women in my life, um, who have shaped my life story.
I love that.
And so they are a part of every single poem in this collection. And it felt incomplete to have a collection without these, I like to call them joints, because I feel like the life stories are joints. If you think about like this is the point where the story is hinging.
I thought you meant joints in like the Def Jam way. Like this little joint. Right?
No, in the medical way,
No,
like
no, no, like
wrist joint.
yeah, I got it. I got it. That also makes
There,
sense.
I like your definition too. I feel like it's the yes and. Um, so I that was the whole thought process behind them, and it actually came up during a writing workshop because I'm not sure if you noticed this, and when other people have the chance to read this, if you're watching this live stream, but each life story, the number and the title, it reflects the amount of words in the poem.
I love shit like that so much. I love shit like that so much. It's witchcraft. Let me tell
It
you,
is,
Button, God
yeah.
bless them. They put up with all of my weirdness about pagination. Okay, like my favorite number is 108. and it's like this thing where I didn't realize that that's a universal number, but it is. It's like a thing in Buddhism, I think. It's certainly something. I want to say it's either Buddhism or Taoism, but like it is about like this being a sacred number. But the reason why it's been my favorite number is because I used to go to this Catholic school that I hated, right? And they had this carpool system where your car would drive up, your parent would drive up, and they would yell out the number they had been assigned them. So you had a number. So my number for 2 years was 108. So that meant I was leaving a place I hated to go home with my mom, who I was obsessed with because gay. And like, and so it's always been my favorite number, and it's always been a power number for me. So like the book has 108 pages, right? Um, I arrange specific poems to land on specific numbers for specific reasons too. And so like we started on page 7, like it's like a whole bunch of like quirky little stuff. And so yeah. So I fully love stuff like that. I love stuff like that. So I'm so here for it. And I love that with the numbers having that sort of personal meaning. That's great. Anyway. Get at me, read something to me,
Oh
please.
my goodness, I'm so excited. I'm like pulling it up in front of me right now. I can't wait. Okay. Because I have one that I would like to read of yours. And first of all, when I was reading it, reading your collection, I literally like cackled so loudly with so many of these. And I was just like, the voice. I think that's actually, before I read this, I think that's one of the things that I really enjoy about your writing. Your voice is just so strong, and so resonant. And I just
Thank
really
you.
appreciate
Thank you.
it.
That's amazing. It's a wonderful thing to hear as somebody who definitely spent a lot of time being derivative before they figured shit out, you know? It's really nice to hear. Thank you.
You're doing great, sweetie. You're doing great.
No, that's in my nervous
Um,
system, but yeah, go ahead.
I am going to read, very fitting for who I am in the world. I'm going to read Villanelle for the wound.
Fuck yeah. Okay. Cool.
The last time I saw Josh at school, his head was shaved. His skull was stapled shut. He'd liked this boy, and when the boy found out, he spit on him. Then, 8 months later, out of nowhere, he clubbed him with a metal pipe. Our drama teacher, Mr. Franklin, said, "Remember that forever, children. That's what hatred looks like." But I saw the wound. It didn't look like hatred, it looked like a mouth. Wide open mouth, blood rusted gate that let the dreadful animals of lust escape. How dare he speak of it out loud? Didn't he know what waited just outside the walls for boys like us? Did he forget? The last time I saw Josh at school, his head was shaved. The skull was stapled shut. He'd like a boy, and when the boy found out, he spit on him. He shouldered him against a wall of lockers. The boy, whose name was Thomas Rivers, was convicted of 2 counts of felony assault, but skipped the murder rap with something that they called the gay panic defense. In a panic, he left a boy for dead. Remember that forever, children. That's what hatred looks like. But I saw the wound. It didn't look like hatred, it looked like a mouth, with tarnished metal sutures for its teeth, white puckered scalp for lips, a murder dazzled brain just barely balanced on its tongue, a loud and punch drunk mouth that babbled languages of drumstick fog and held a smile for my eyes, unbearable, a jagged riverbed. The last time I saw Josh at school, his head was shaved. His skull was stapled shut. He'd liked this boy, and when the boy found out, it was from someone Josh trusted. Some girl whose razor wire name is lost to us, who probably thought it would be funny. Did you hear about it? Josh, the gay kid, thinks you're cute. He likes you. He told me. Jealous girl, jeering hive, a blistering of ants, a vicious swarming red. Remember that forever, children. That's what hatred looks like. But I saw the wound. It didn't look like hatred, it looked like a mouth. the mouth I kissed instead of David's mouth, instead of Tim or Adam's mouth, the mouth that swallowed risk and flirt and sprouted plumes of dreadful silence. We men who love men's bodies know this mouth, its whispered menace, its venom spit, its fevered breath. The last time I saw Josh at school, his head was shaved, his skull was stapled shut. He'd liked a boy. The boy found out, and I remembered that forever. What it looked like, hatred, like a mouth.
Nicely done. Nicely done. I so that's like my hit, right? Like that's I think if I expire tomorrow, that's the best thing I've done. I wrote that poem in one sitting. I wrote it in like an hour. Um the
First
first
of
and
all,
yeah, please,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, no.
The enthusiasm is just bubbling over here. First of all, the fact that you say you wrote that in one sitting, a Villanelle, nonetheless, with and one of the things that I love about form pieces and villanelles and something that I try to emulate in my work, every line of repetition should hold a different weight each time you
Yeah.
do it. And the sense of urgency and the sense of emotional stakes that I feel with every repetition that you give us is it just lands so perfectly.
So I had like this kind of crummy experience with my slam team the year prior. And the scene that I grew up in, which is the Boston Cantab scene, which I have nothing but good things to say about overall, right? Best
Yeah.
friends, made me a writer, like all these things. Um, if you are beloved in that room and you are slamming, especially if you're one of the hosts, it is very hard to lose. And so I wanted to really challenge myself. And so the year after I'd had this kind of crummy feeling where I was like, okay, like I slammed, but like I feel very, I felt like very like tired, like I felt jaded about the whole process. And so I wanted to do something different. So I decided that that was the year I was going to do nothing but form poems and comedy in in competition. And the two poems that I think I'm best like known for, if you think of me as known, right, outside of Europe, is yeah, weirdly, I have a following in Europe. It's a thing where it's
And I
like
love
actually
that.
you can make more money overseas on tour than you can in the US. Like hands down, because they have like arts funding, full stop. But like it's just funny because like I've worked on this stuff my whole life, and I think most of the people who know my work outside of like button folks, directly like button fans, are people from Southeast Asia and people in Europe. But I I wanted to challenge myself, and the two poems I think are like most well known of is that one and Letter to a New Crush, and they both came out of that season, right? Um, and the thing about this poem is just like this is the poem that taught me that triggering is real. Like I always thought, oh, people are being dramatic, like all this stuff. I've been through all kinds of shit, and like, what are they even talking about? And like, I wrote this poem at my job. I was working as a front desk guy at a job in for like H&R Block, and I was sitting at my desk. There's nothing to do, and so I just started writing because I wanted to write some foreign poetry. And I wrote this, and like my face got hot, and like I started like sweating in my palms. I'm like, what the?
What is it?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
I'm having an immune response to this memory I didn't even realize mattered. And it was that last stanza, I think, that really, for me, like that was a revelation for me when I wrote it, right? Like that was a poem that taught me. Generally, when I don't say that I wrote it in an hour to flex. I actually, on the contrary, like I think sometimes the best work we do just like is sent to us. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
The Greeks talk about genius as like a spirit of madness that like lands on you and like makes you do stuff and then leaves. And like I hesitate to take credit for this poem because I didn't have to work for it at all, and it really landed with folks. Like there's almost no permanent edits to it, like almost nothing. Like the repeated lines were the repeated lines when I wrote them, and those are the same lines. Like you know, but the only thing I'll give myself credit for is like living through
I
that. You know.
and if I can echo, I think all of those nuances and those feelings come through in the writing, right? Like it's so masterfully done. I could just sing your praises for the rest of this live stream about it, but it's so well done, and I think it's particularly salient even now. You know, it's been a long time
You know the last
since
time
you've
the gay
written it.
panic defense was used in court?
Too soon, I'm sure. This year?
2018.
Oh, okay.
Successfully in court was
Okay.
2018.
Yeah.
You know, we got job protections in 2020 while no one was looking. And this is the kind of shit that like kept me up at night where I was like, you know.
And I think it makes those things like that make me think about the intersection between like the Voting Rights Act, gerrymandering, and the very real impact that it's having on Black and Brown communities, and the same like yeah,
Yeah, and like the thing is
it's
that
been a
like
hard time.
everyone, I feel this is my fear. I think institutionally there will always be a place for gay people to exist now. I think I hesitate to say this, maybe not always, but I think for a while we're gonna be okay as long as we are quiet and well behaved,
Yeah.
right? And I consider that to be intolerable. Like I am not quiet, I am not well behaved. So like for me, it's SOL. But also, um, there are these sort of like systemic voices that have encouraged gay men in particular, but I think all queer folks to like assume that if they're a good gay, if they're a good queer person, that they won't be screwed over. And like the thing is that or like oppressed or like otherwise legislated against. And like one of the things, you know, you see these idiots on my side of the freaking fence, like whether I like it or not, you know, who are talking about like, oh, we should like divorce ourselves from the trans community because like this is a group of people who are like bringing us down. Is like, do you honestly think like when Texas passes a law that says that like insurance companies can deny on religious grounds like LGBT healthcare, that they're going to be like, well, really, we mean the T, so you're golden? Like, no, like you don't, like PrEP is not covered by insurance in Texas anymore. And like when they had that conversation publicly, it was when they were letting monkeypox happen to us on purpose, right? But also, it was a thing where that conversation happened the same day that they were discussing PrEP in Congress. The CDC, under a Democrat, released a big, easy reader font guide to the rise of STDs in the United States. And what they fully and I think intentionally failed to do was talk about the difference between like efficacy and effectiveness, right? So, like, we are seeing a spike in diagnosed cases of certain STDs because people are mandated by this prescription to get STD tested every 3 months. So, like, it's not that it's not necessarily that there's more going around, it's that it's being shown up, right? But like, I think anyone who believes that like when they're done with the trans folks we're golden is out of their goddamn minds. Like, and you know, it's always about like coalition too, you know, when I talk to people about like, you know, the sort of concerns we have about like white feminism, I'm like, look, this is tone deaf, this is tone deaf. They couldn't have bank accounts until they were 19, you know, until 1972, 1976, I think, right? So like they're being tone deaf, but also this, right? And like we're about to see a bunch of these people who are like married women who won't be able to vote, right? We're about to see all kinds of these crazy things happen. But yeah, like they are fully disenfranchising um like whole communities. And I think where queer people fall in that is this bizarre middle space where it's like if we can pretend to be like what I always say is this: I feel like gay people are made to feel like they are failed straight people. Like, oh, I'm a man, and like there's just this little thing wrong with me where like I really like to, engage in sodomy, right? And like that is a party line that has worked for us in certain civil rights politics, but like because we don't do representation and we don't insist on it, because we don't like self-liberate, because we lost an entire generation of radicals to AIDS, right? um, there hasn't been a successful like construction of what gay success looks like, right? So
Yeah.
like I can't point to this and say like, oh, as a gay man, like I'm gonna follow this blueprint. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be like a strong, a strong advocate for my community, or I'm gonna be like, this is like what like the proper way to like shuck my shame looks like, right? We don't have that, and so that coupled with the fact that we're raised by straight people, like by and large, um, has deactivated us politically in a way that I find infuriating.
Yeah.
Because we
Yeah.
should be good at this. We have access in ways that other people don't. And like, anyway, but yeah, no, intersections 24/7. All the
I mean, you're
intersections.
preaching. You're preaching, and you're making really salient points. And understood. I think one of the things too, hopefully that will help people to understand the importance of coalition building and growing in community is that it's never just an isolated cause, like you said.
Yeah.
And I
Nobody's free till we're all free.
I try to I talk about this with my friends and my close comrades a lot of this whole discourse about, are you black first, are you woman first, are you queer first, are you, that pisses me off.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That if there's anything that like that makes me just like "Ah," it's that, because I am all the above and everything else.
Yeah.
And my struggle exists at every one of those like intersections.
Yeah.
And so I think more people saying my struggle as a black queer woman in medicine or in America is not disjointed from your experience as a cis or trans man who's queer in a marginalized state like Texas or Florida. Like if
Yeah.
more of us were able to say like our struggles are not only connected but intertwined, I think we would get a lot further.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that's one of those things where it's like coalition building is way less fun than like intra-community sniping, right? And it gets far fewer likes, but you try to get
That's
three, you try to
truly
get
the, yeah.
likes. Like, been reading
Yepers.
a lot of Lord's stuff about this, and like I always have to like function from a perspective of like kind of being a spectator to Lord's politics in some ways because Lord was very woman first, right? And like, great, right? But so in those ways, it's not for me. But there are so many things that she talks about
Yeah.
where I'm like, okay, this applies to me, and I don't expect you, Audre Lorde, in the 1970s to know how. But like when
Yeah.
she talks about like the use of the erotic for power, or like the way that like interactions between women can often be erotic. Like what I think is really fascinating is that it actually can be true for men too, and it's actually true sometimes outside of like gay men. And so there's this that's like part of why they're so afraid, straight men, is because it's very porous. Um, because we invented straightness to oppress women, actually.
Yeah. We love more
But
shackles
their punishment is they don't get to have friends.
and emotional intimacy, among other things.
Yeah, no doubt.
Um, But back to this amazing poem. You're awesome and dope. And I actually, it made me think of a poem that only took me a short amount of time. It wasn't quite an hour. It was maybe a few hours over a couple days. But I wrote Black Woman versus Death, which is included in this
Yeah.
collection. And that was my first genuine stab at contrapuntal. after doing a workshop with Crystal Valentine.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
she taught it, and I was like, it like opened up things in my mind. But majority of that piece is unedited. It is exactly as it was put on the page.
It's cool.
And I agree with you. I think a lot of times, or I shouldn't say a lot of times, but in a good amount of times, the words spill out, and the words for a poem will come the way that they need to. And I
Yeah.
definitely feel like that was the case with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I love a
But I
consequences
want to hear
too.
you read a couple more poems before our time runs out. And I have
Yeah.
to say goodbye to
So
you.
how do you, I was just gonna say, like, I'm trying to think like how we should go about that. Cause um, like maybe I can read a couple more, but like, do you want to read like a couple more and then bounce my way and I'll read a couple more and then we'll do one last?
I'm in
Or...
such stand mode right now. I really want to hear you read a couple more.
Okay, I can do that for you.
And then I'm happy to like close us out with one
Oh,
or
no
two
doubt. Cool.
more.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah, I think that'd be really fun, but I'm in it. You've sucked me in, Sean, okay? And now I'm gonna be in your inbox like, so I need that work in progress in my
Yeah, you got it.
inbox to
You can
chew
have
on.
it. You can have
Yeah.
it. Don't share nobody.
Oh,
Don't
I
show nobody.
gotcha. It's under lock and key. I'm a locked vault. Honestly, that's the poem. I write that down.
I have in I brag about this. I have a poetry archive, a digital poetry archive. And we're talking like I would see poets read a poem like in a slam or at an open mic and be like, can I have that? That goes back to like 2005. So I'm like, I have this person's unpublished manuscript. I have like the original version of Pink Elephant with different poems in it. I have like a book that would later become Into the Dark and Emptying Field, right? Like hits like that, right? And they're just like in my little box just for me.
So
Unless I'm in like rotation someone's hotel room at a poetry festival and I can be like, you want to hear this? And
so you're an
I'll look it up.
archivist too?
Yeah, big time, big
Stop.
time. Because I look at it's I was so in love with slam culture when I got into it because of its diversity, and I mean that in the real sense. I don't mean diversity as in like the weird white euphemism for like the presence of Black people. I mean like diversity in
Yeah.
terms of like the presence of Black people, queer people, working class people, straight people, like
Yeah.
college students, like neurodivergent people, like all of these folks, the weirdos who come in the open mic and read something super weird and never come back, like all of
Yeah.
that in one
Yeah.
space. And it was just so electric. And so I got very protective of it very early. But yeah, let's do, I'm gonna do two pieces that I feel like, let me think. I'm gonna do two that feel like intersections. They're both serious. I might bump one last little one at the end that's funny, so I'm not ending on like something like super tragic. And then I would like it if you would give me three, if that's chill with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm so excited.
Cool. So this one's called Boys Club.
Let me mute myself because I'm obnoxiously loud when I'm listening to this.
Okay. Everybody here is white and healthy, male and wealthy, straight and kind to me. I wonder where their women are. I tell a joke and watch their grinning mouths. I stare into their shiny teeth in search of my reflection, and I see it, kind of. But I've learned distrust of men who do not live with what may love or touch them, me or someone else, to kneel before the banner of their unfemmed house, to pin their proud tongues underneath our own and laugh them from their beds. A house conspicuous with noise, a voice without a hollow throat is not a voice. It cannot be an accident. These spaces full of absence. Language left unspoken will say more than words we choose to speak. I wait until they leave for work to wander through their bedrooms, and I catalog an overwhelming body of male evidence. The sheets unmade and stained, the gray socks stiff and littering the ground, the takeout boxes spilling from the fridge. I read the wrinkled magazines they hid beneath their mattresses. I hold their dirty laundry to my face and breathe. I am a boy too. Every boy's a beast at times, like every hand's a fist. A sword without a temper is a cock without a mother or a lover or a wife, and pleasure wrung from what might otherwise know only how to own you is a hunger growing teeth inside us all, and everyone has felt it grinding at their sex and wanted to chase after it or to be chased, and has been flattered by a man's pursuit at least once, if not many times. Yes, everyone. Yes, even you. Don't lie. I wrote that one 2 days ago for this book for the National Poetry Series for the other book. It's a different one from the Radium one.
Good. Why are you
This one
like
is
this? Iconic. Okay.
because I spent 5 years not doing nothing, so now I got to burn it up. We'll see what happens. So this is one of my fighters, and we'll see if I got it right. Because I think it still needs work, but I'm gonna try it. Same second book. It's called Paris, the Epiphany. Since I arrived here, he's been good to me. He's been good company. He's cooked for me, and he has been evasive. I mean, he's evaded touch. Mine. Tonight, when he gets home from work, his brother, who he lives with, has already split a bottle of Vouvray with me. I'm tipsy, greet him with the slightly incorrect phrase I've been practicing all day, Bon oui, mon chéri, j'adore content, and kiss his face in several places. I can hear his brother say, refais ton pot est plus marrant quand il est un peu beurré. And Quentin smiles, places one palm on my chest. He sets a grocery bag down on the counter and pulls out a cake. It's the Epiphany today. Do you like almonds, Sean? He asks. And I say, yes, too loudly, while his brother fills my glass. The evening is a good one. We have fun. We talk about Catholicism, empty out a second bottle. When his brother heads to bed, we stay up late. I like the queenly delicacy of his English and his accent, which is vaguely British and extremely hot. The way he flirts, unlike the way he fucks, is nonchalant and quiet and reflexive, and it's lovely sitting with him in his quiet kitchen, lovely being quiet with him. I reach for his hands across the table where we sit and place my thumbs on his. He reaches for the cake and cuts the last of it in half and plates a slice for each of us. He takes a bite, then pauses and pulls something from his mouth, a tiny porcelain figurine. Aha, he says, I am the king. I say, my liege, and we clink glasses. Then I say, how may I serve the monarchy this evening? Gazing in his eyes, and suddenly the quiet has become the wrong kind. Finally, he says, I'm sorry, Sean, it has nothing to do with you. Right before you came to visit, my supervisor at the clinic said it's strange to watch me treating patients when I walk like one. I've had a hard time getting past it, and I'm sure you're disappointed you've come all this way. My arms still outstretched on the table, I turn my palms face up, and he glances at them like a meal made poorly by a child. Very sweet, a nice gesture, inedible. He says, I don't want to talk about it. I just try not to remember anything about my body. Meaning he's uncomfortable with the attention I am paying it, uncomfortable with my desire for it, meaning also he forgets when possible he was born limping, born with pain, a shadow cast on every step he takes. He is a nurse, and every morning we ride on the same train into Paris. I visit the art museums while he's at work. I say, the first day I was here, I woke up an hour before dawn, jet lag, I guess. I didn't want to wake you, so I watched you sleep. You look so peaceful, pale even against the white bed sheets. You're gorgeous, Quentin. You have a gorgeous body. The corner of his lip turns up. He's nudging bits of cake around his plate. He says, come on. I say, the sun was coming up, and for a moment everything was blue, and you were bathed in it, in blue light. You are bathed in light right now. I'm sorry you can't see it. He spent so much time in hospitals, Their white beds, sleeping under observation, and the knife, the first half of his life, a blur of operations, listening to conversations of the doctors, planning how to carve into his legs and back to close the distance in between him and the pictures of anatomy in books, all their unreachable ideals. I say, of all the paths to beauty, our survival is the most compelling, and he rolls his eyes. I say, I think your scars are sexy, and he winces. I stand up to take the plates and glasses to the sink. I reach for his. He waves my hand away. He says, just leave them, please. I'll clean up later. I don't need your help. And I'm gonna close with something funny because it's like dark, but it's funny for me because I don't want to leave us like sad on disability shit. Um, so this poem is from the one with the radium in it, and it's a different piece altogether. It's called so there's a now dead, very dead gay movie star named Rock Hudson. He was the like Tom Cruise of his day, top grossing movie star for several years in a row. And he was gay the whole time and then died of AIDS, which is how he came out. And his death was really important because his best friend was Elizabeth Taylor, and her decision to get really into AIDS activism and work with AMFAR was basically a direct consequence of losing her best friend to it. And that saved a lot of lives. And so I've been kind of experimenting with him in different stories because I see him as this kind of like salvific pain bearer, like like his death, like allowed many people to live because of how much faster the cocktail came because of his fame, basically, because of the influence of his death on science. But anyway, not that that's particularly present in this poem, which is just called Rock Hudson Comes to Babysit Your Kids Instead of the Regular Girl. Rock Hudson comes to babysit your kids instead of the regular girl, and it's odd. You've never had a babysitter other than a teenager, let alone a grown man and a dead Hollywood star at that. Immediately after he walks in, you tumble into an elaborate fantasy with choreography, a singing chorus line, and aqua pyrotechnics, the whole nine. At the climax, just as you are spun into his tuxedoed embrace, swoon into a tango milonguero, your brood charges down the stairs, stampeding through and ruining the moment. You are fuming. Rock throws out his arms. They swarm him like a fan club. Oh, give me a break. Like they know any of his movies, you think with disdain. Rock tussles your son's red hair as your daughter as her daughter, well, wow. As your daughter wraps herself around his giant thigh. They're in good hands, miss. Sulking, you put on your coat. Be good for Mr. Hudson, kids, you say, though you suspect there's nothing good in them. Why else would you leave at every opportunity? All night at the theater, you sit with your arms crossed, picturing Rock Hudson making supper, and Rock Hudson helping with their schoolwork, and Rock Hudson letting them win at Parcheesi, and Rock Hudson reading them a bedtime story, all the hollow gestures of affection, all the phony wholesomeness he doubtless learned from watching his own movies, just like you learned how to be a parent, learned by watching yours pretend to care. That's it. Last of my mean-spirited
Gosh,
little
you're
ditties.
so incredible. I just can't. I'm honestly just unequivocally a fan. Um, wow. Just like, what is a girl to say? What is a girl to say, everyone? Like, I mean, I'm
Our own
just
poems because they're so damn good. But also, thank you.
um so grateful for you for sharing those. Um, I am gonna share one more from On a Date with Disappointment, and I'm gonna share two that are coming from my forthcoming.
Hey, all right.
So this one is entitled First Steak. Um, and for those of you who don't have it in front of you, it is shaped as a steak. Not that you eat, but like Salem.
Hmm.
I thought this was supposed to be a gift, a moment to embrace the widening of my hips and the bloom of chest. Ain't this a sign that womanhood has come to crown me? adorn me with enough space in my body to hold life and beauty and fertility and blessing. But as I stand here, with my tied hands around this prickly wooden post, I'm nothing more than a spectacle of warning. This new body is not mine to enjoy or find home within. I should become used to the indicting gaze found in the faces of family and friends and strangers alike, charging me with arson at a trial prepared for me long before I left the past for this present. On either side of me, I can make out the shape of my mother and aunties and sister friends and woman cousins and matriarchs standing wearily at their own stakes, recovering from the last fire, just to hope they'll survive yet another one. I realize now the gravity of this fate. Here I was believing this would be the last stake I'd have to endure when it is only the first.
It's one of my favorites in the collection.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What makes it your favorite, just out of curiosity, or one of your favorites?
So one of my favorites, I would say. I think my favorite is probably the Good Morning one, but I think there's a lot of discussion of God and like wounding and like the ways in which like we are both burdened and celebrated or like should be celebrated by like the things that we are kind of given or handed to us as like differentials or like struggle. And I think um this poem combines a lot of those elements from the rest of the manuscript in one place. I also am like low key very partial to the term sister friend. It's the 70s boy in me, like it's like my whole politic, my whole vibe. And so like I love that shit. But also I just think like it's at once an experience I understand and that I haven't seen written about a whole
Mm,
lot this directly. Like the idea of, hey, wait, like this is like a rite of passage, like this is like a really cool and like amazing like thing that shows me I have joined the ranks of other women and like I have this potential to bear life, which is like the root of our like divinity, our mystery, our oppression, like the jealousy that's directed at women. And so like I think seeing that voiced is like almost like a disappointment to not have it celebrated, and then like the blood of it, instead of it being applied in this like almost like blood magic way, it gets applied as like a wound, and that's like really powerful.
thank you.
And I think
You literally were inside my mind when I was writing it. Like all the
well, no,
things.
because that's the thing. You put it on the page, like, and that's the other thing is I feel like the project of the poem, to me, presuming that I got it before we got to talk about it, I was like, oh, like this project was successful. Like this landed, this did the thing, and it did it in a shape which I like low key love. I love a shape.
Thank you. This so the collection that I'm currently working on, that will be my forthcoming is called the Shoulder Your Girlfriend Cries On. And I'm so excited about it because we get all the breakup poems, we get all the lovers, misconnection poems. We get everything about the couples. We get nothing about the girl who's holding the box of tissues, who's riding at dawn about, their sister friend who
Yeah.
just got hurt. And I'm like, it's time for you to be seen and heard, girl. So this is a collection that encapsulates really the sisterhood of womanhood. And I'm
And
really excited
celebrates
about
emotional labor.
it. So this piece is called What If They Never Apologize? What if they never apologize? My therapist keeps asking me this question, and somehow I grow angrier than ever because I sit here bare, stripped, destroyed, dying for a sorry they never intend to give me. What a horror to live in a reality where I am no victor, but only collateral damage and the side plot of someone else's misery story. Thank
Yep.
you. And
Yep.
this last,
Yep. I'm just like nodding, like, yep.
yep. And this last piece is a new favorite of mine from this collection because I've been having a lot of fun. I think I'm a little bit more playful in this collection too, contrary to what that last piece was. But this one is entitled Fork Tender. Man tell me he loves me. I tell him to prove it. Man start to undress. I pass him an apron because love starts as a roux. Flour burned down, deep brown, thinned out to desired consistency. You can't fuck up the foundation. Chop the roots and vegetables, and don't forget the onions. Revel the cry and the flavor as our hearts heat. Saute until we are translucent. Pound the center cut flesh until it only resembles the before. Season with McCormick, Morton's, crystals, thyme, kiss, caress. Man grows impatient. I tell him until it's fork tender. Man wants his time back. I tell him to go ask the pot. Flames dance across the stove top. Beads of sweat roll across top lips, salty, sweet, tangy, the perfect mix. It simmers as we stew. To witness the marrying of taste savory, bringing spicy home, make magic and birth the sustenance we've been praying for. Time wanders into the dish, drawing age flavor from marbled fat. Its labor perfumes the room. I am already intoxicated, satisfied. Man says he didn't come here to work. I remind him that he's supposed to love me. Man says, and what the fuck do food got to do with it? I only smile. Goodbye, prayer, lesson, someday.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, I love what you were talking about with this collection too. Like, I feel like I'm in the exact same place. Maybe it's the climate. You know,
Yeah,
my last book was really serious. It was a thesis. It was like me taking all of this anger, all of this knowledge, and putting it in one place. And I feel like doing that made, like, I took it outside of myself. I get to keep it, but now there's like space inside of me for other stuff.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
these two books, both of them are like love, but in different approaches, and like mental health and like all these other things, but they are playful, they are spicy, and it's also, we have the news, you know, like, I'm ready with my poems, but like at the same time, I think what calls me right now is to offer people something
yeah,
closer to them, because like that's the crazy thing about history, you know, like
yeah,
people live and die and love in revolutions, in descents to fascism, like all of these things. Like people still have to like fall in love and have kids and like get old, you
yeah.
know? And so I think there's something really powerful about taking that route in this moment. So I'm totally like along for the ride on that one with you too. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. It's gonna be cool.
Thank you. And I'm so
Yeah.
excited for your collections with an
Mhm.
S because, come on
Because I'm a
now.
madman. Yeah.
Yes. And I love it. I love it. I support all the madness.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
right now I'm loving it. We'll see. She has other moods. But
and
this
you know what?
flavor
That's
is
okay
my
too.
favorite flavor. So we'll see.
Sean,
This has
it's
been
been a
so fun.
pleasure.
I could talk to you forever. This was such a pleasure, Naya. Like really, really. So
Thank
like,
you.
thank you. And like thanks to Button for
And
this. I feel like we should
yes.
say like check out our books, because I feel like we both got something cooking. I like it. And I think
Yeah.
are you teaching workshops yet?
Yes, I am. I
Oh
actually have a
yeah.
4-week workshop coming up. Sign up. All right. Come hang out with me on Sundays in June. You don't want to
Mhm.
miss it. It's going to be a good time. We're going to get
Cool.
into all the things.
Yeah, I got some workshops coming up too. You can find them online. But yeah,
You're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
check me out, boo.
Check it out on button. No, because I got them scheduled, and I know I got one in the summer, but it's later, and I don't. The future is as far as I can see it. So like I have
Mm,
ideas about what's happening for the next 2 months,
yeah.
and then as I get closer, I will see more road, and I'll be like, oh right, that, you know what I'm saying. But I
Yeah.
don't have that like date right in front of me, which is my bad. But it is online and it is there, and I definitely am always really excited to teach. So same, but.
Yeah.
This was so
Oh,
cool. This is so cool. Thank you so much for your time today, man. This was like, and thank
this
you
filled
for all
my
of
cup.
your kind words about my writing. That makes me feel really good. I'm gonna carry that with me over the next couple of stressful last days where I try to find this phone that I
Well,
lost.
I'm gonna carry your words with me too, and I hope you know you can't get rid of me. All right. So,
Awesome. Good. I don't want it. Send me stuff. I'll send you stuff.
yeah, yeah. Congrats,
Awesome.
you've just gotten a new friend.
I'm excited about it. You too. You
All
too.
right.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.